This is a production of South Dakota Public Broadcasting.
Winner got its name from early mayor and townsite booster E.G. Barnum. He and partisans of several nearby towns competed for the coveted designation as county seat. The towns of Tripp County take root in the rolling prairie just west of the Missouri River. Many of the communities were formed soon after parts of the Rosebud Reservation were opened to settlement in 1909. People were lined up and waiting to move in. Nearly 115,000 homesteaders applied for the 6,000 sites that were available. Names were drawn on October 19, 1908 in Dallas, South Dakota. The country where homesteaders would try their hand was prairie grassland, studded here and there with high bluffs like Dog's Ear Buttes, Turtle, and Rattlesnake Butte. The young adult author, Marion McNeely, referred to the Winner area as where the West begins. That was in her pioneer novel, The Jumping Off Place. Well, she may have been right. Early on, homesteaders struggled with the drought. The 1910 harvest was very poor. But the Chicago and Northwest Railway believed in Tripp County. As the railroad laid track, town sites continued to grow. One town in particular would benefit from a combination of geographical position and the savvy efforts of its founders. Welcome to Dakota Life, and greetings from Winner.
This program is made possible with your support and with corporate support from John Pokop and the Ameriprise Financial Advisors, providing South Dakotans with financial confidence in expected and unexpected times, with offices in Winner and Spearfish. And by Golden West Telecommunications Cooperative. We're everywhere people connect, like Winner.
Archaeologists have discovered evidence that Native American mound builder cultures lived in this area long before the Mayflower set sail from England, or Lewis and Clark sailed up the Missouri. Lieutenant G.K. Warren surveyed this area in 1855. He was journeying from Fort Laramie to Fort Pierre. He described the area as having natural springs, lush wild cherries and plums, and he said the grass grows luxuriantly, and buffalo tracks were frequent. Ponca and Lakota hunters knew that very well. After 1889, the General Allotment Act split the Great Sioux Reservation, and much of the present-day Tripp County was within the Rosebud Indian Reservation. That, of course, named for the Rosebud Creek Agency, and that agency founded by Sakonju Lakota chief Spotted Tail. Well, the congressional action that opened more Rosebud Reservation land to settlement set off kind of a bitter fight over the location of the county seat. When Tripp County was organized in 1909, voters awarded Lamro to be temporary county headquarters. But the Western Townsite Company, which owned Winner, had its eyes on that prize. It didn't hurt when the Chicago and Northwestern Railway planners drew its Norfolk Line extension right through Winner, and missing Lamro by a little over 2 miles. So Winner prevailed over Colomb, Whitten, and Lamro, but the residents of the latter seemed to take it the hardest. Most of the buildings in Lamro were actually moved to Winner, which was more than happy to take them all. For some years, there was a north side, south side divide along 3rd Street. Original Winnerites on the north side, Lamro expats on the south. Even Lamro's newspaper, the Lamro Advocate, they made the move too, changing the name to the Winner Advocate, which is still in circulation today. Mayor E.G. Barnum rallied the town around a water system that piped water in from natural springs about 7 miles away. Over time, lingering enmity over the county seat battle has softened. Oh, an ember or two may still smolder somewhere on the south side, but Winnerites, ever magnanimous in their victory, tend to win you over. Coming up, we'll visit a long-running community playhouse. We'll learn how the Winner Pheasants and other local baseball teams have slugged it out at the Leahy Bowl. And we'll meet some folks who track another kind of pheasant. But first, renowned cowgirl poet Yvonne Hollenbeck. She performs locally and around the country. We sat down with her to talk poetry, quilting, and life on the prairie.
Have you ever seen the prairie when it's covered up with snow? Or watch an evening sunset leave its purple afterglow? Have you ever seen a newborn calf wobbling to its feet, and before it's even a minute old, it knows just where to eat? You can't get in your saddle and ride across prairie sod, or see an eagle on the wing and not believe in God. A cowboy doesn't worship in a building made of stone. He worships with his maker out of nature all alone. His church is in the great outdoors, the valley, heaven's gate. His favorite hymn's a coyote that's calling to its mate. And he doesn't do his tithing dropping money in the hand. It's by being a good caretaker to the creatures and the land. And he makes his own communion as a choir of songbirds sings as he cups his hand and drinks the fresh cold water from a spring. Okay, I'm Yvonne Hollenbeck. I'm known as a cowboy poet, but I'm not a cowboy. I married one. Well, actually, both my grandmothers always wrote, all our grandmothers did. They either wrote it or they collected it from the Capper's Weekly papers and stuff. And many times, my bedtime stories was a poem. I was what you'd call a closet poet. And I took actually a photography class, a night class, and the lady that taught it was a freelance writer. And somehow we got on the subject of poetry. And I told her I liked to write it. She said, could I see some? So I showed her a couple of poems, and she wanted to know if she could have a copy. And the next thing I knew, some lady in the grocery store said, Yvonne, I really like that poem of yours. I said, what poem? The one in the Stock Growers magazine. And this freelance writer had printed one of my poems, so that's when I come out of the closet. But I did write this poem about what a bailout is on the ranch. It's when you feed the cattle hay. So this lady came up to me and wanted to talk to me, and she wanted to know if she'd get a copy of it. Then she wanted to interview me, and she was from the Los Angeles Times. And that poem ended up on the front page of the Los Angeles Times. And from there, it went to practically every major newspaper, even in foreign countries. I know it was in the Omaha World Herald and the Chicago Tribune and just these major papers, this poem. They really got a kick out of it, I guess. My poor husband, he said he's afraid to ask me to help him. He's afraid something will happen. I'll write a poem about it. I do. I have one about sorting cattle and how the hand signals. And he's standing in with a bunch of cattle, and I'm running the gate, and he's going like this. And of course, you can't hear anything because of the cattle ball and everything. So I'm thinking he's wanting me to let him out. No, he wanted me to shut the gate and turn him back. Well, things like that happen, and it is good fuel for a poem. I tell you what my husband's favorite poem is, and it was this time of year, and we were calving, and it was a Sunday. And he came in the house and he said, I told him, I said, it's been a long time since we've been to church. And he said, Yvonne, every time I go out that door, I go to church. So from the dawning of the springtime till autumn's goldenrod, there's no better place to worship than to be out there with God. And the next time you hear a meadowlark is singing from its perch, it's inviting you to worship with him there at nature's church.
A couple of years ago, members of the local Rotary Club got together to spruce up downtown Winter's Centennial Plaza. Local artist Ruth Novotny, who runs the hobby shop, created a series of colorful murals that capture scenes from a South Central Dakota life. In front of the Tripp County Courthouse, the World War I Memorial is a bronze cast of John Paulding's Over the Top. It's one of several models of doughboy sculptures that memorialized veterans after the war. On the outskirts of town, a winter cinema tradition is going strong. Harvey Fast built the Winter Drive-In in 1950. Through the years, Harvey and Betty Fast upsized, and they resurfaced the screen, repaired tornado damage, added a playground, and planted over 1,000 trees on the 20-acre grounds. When drive-ins started to disappear, Harvey dug in. He told South Dakota Magazine in 1996, "When it got bad and the others gave up, that's when I got more determined." Harvey Fast passed away in 2004, but the Winter Drive-In is still in the family, and it's still going. Not many towns the size of Winter maintain a drive-in, an indoor movie theater, and an active community playhouse. Winter is a prairie hub for the performing arts. So let's have a curtain call for the people who light up the stage and the screen at the Winter Community Playhouse and at the Winter Pix Theater.
Rick Meister ran the Pix Theater for many, many years. He owned and ran the Pix Theater, and it was kind of his second life. I mean, he had a full-time job, but he was open 7 nights a week. He was here. Rick made his wishes known to his family that he wanted to see the theater continue in the community of Winter. So after he had passed away, the family contacted the Chamber of Commerce about gifting the theater to the city of Winter.
The chamber office had the opportunity to take it on, and then from there they went on to have a board take it over.
There was a lot of repairs that needed to be made at the time, so we held a radiothon, because obviously we had the theater but we had no funds. So we held a radiothon thinking that hopefully we'd raise $10,000 was what our goal was. We raised $40,000 in one afternoon.
It's really neat to see people get so excited about us getting the week of movies that they want to see. A lot of people tell us it's awesome that our local theater can get shows right away so that we don't have to travel to go see a movie. We can just stay right here in our hometown.
In addition to a hometown screen, Winter supports a hometown stage, the Winter Community Playhouse.
There's a herd of raccoons out there attacking the trailer. We had a group of interested people who wanted to have live theater in Winter, South Dakota. They started in 1972 and were sponsored by South Dakota Arts Council. Did a couple plays in a couple of years and decided that they would form Winter Community Playhouse. So we went from 1972 until about 1992 without an actual home or a place to perform in. We begged, borrowed, stole practically places from the school, the local Legion Club, wherever they would let us have a play. And we finally have a home of our own after all of that time. We have a place to perform in that is available to us 24/7, which we love.
The Playhouse has been, it's a fun community project, and you get so many people. And then when we get the kids involved with the high school, we do a summer program for some of the kids, which helps get them into middle school, so we can do, there's middle school plays for the one acts that we do in January. And that's also contest time, and that gets us to where we can go to a bigger theaters too, like in some of the Sioux Falls and Pierre. We do okay here, we really do.
We're totally funded by our community. We send out a membership letter every year, and people respond at their will, whatever they feel they can afford that year. So we value our community involvement. We couldn't be here without our community help.
It's a very a great asset to our community. Very active. The kids use it, elementary, middle school, high school.
I like them all. I like them all. They're all really great. We have local talent, and the kids, the high school, grade school kids, do a fantastic job.
Oh, forget it. She's gone. We gotta find another face. Look for anybody. Lincoln, Oprah, Charles, Lord Bush.
There is a stage or screen ready for budding young actors of any age to share their creative arts here in Winter. But what about the athletes? don't worry, they're doing just fine. In 2021, Winter High School's football team finished a perfect season with its second state championship in a row. That was the 9th title for the Winter Warriors so far. The girls' basketball standout, Bella Sweetland, joined the 2,000-point club this year, and the Warriors wrestling team brought home the Class B Team Dual State Championship trophy. The athletic tradition of excellence has been around for a long time here in Winter. Some trace it back to Frank Leahy. The gridiron was where Leahy became a legend. He played high school football in Winter, then he played tackle for Newt Rockney's last 3 teams at Notre Dame, and he returned to coach the Fighting Irish later in his career. Now, his name has become synonymous with another sport. See, it was 1948 the Winter Athletics Association built the Leahy Bowl. Through the years, the stadium has been home to the Winter Pheasants of the former Basin League, American Legion Baseball, school and Little League teams too. Winter baseball history has a very interesting starting lineup from the leagues, the teams, and the players that have taken the field here at the Leahy Bowl.
At that time when the war was over, everybody came home and a lot of stuff going on. So a bunch of businesses decided that we ought to be playing these games at a better ballpark. So in 1949, that's when Leahy Bowl was completely built, and it took a couple years, I understand. They dug a cavern out of the side of a hill, and it's pretty cool the way, because when we have a game up here, you'll see 60 cars parked up here, and people will sit in their cars and they'll honk their horns when somebody gets a hit.
When you visit the Leahy Bowl, the bowl portion of the name is evident as you look down onto the field from the hillside. But why is it that it's named after Frank Leahy?
He was second winningest coach at percentage-wise in Notre Dame history. He had 5 consecutive seasons without a loss. I mean, he was a great athlete, came from Winter. He was actually born in O'Neill, Nebraska, went to high school here, graduated high school in Omaha, Nebraska. But every story he ever told about himself, he always referenced his time in Winter, South Dakota.
The Basin League was part of Winter's baseball story. The league got its name from the teams, all located in the Missouri River Basin, and it existed from 1948 to 1973. The league brought large crowds, more great baseball, and some big names to the Leahy Bowl.
But at that time, a lot of college kids came here. Jim Palmer was one, Merv Rettenman, he played here. But we would play games against teams that were also in the Basin League, like Bassett, Nebraska, had a heck of a good team. My grandfather would tell me that 5,000 people would come to Leahy Bowl to watch Bassett play Winter.
Baseball still brings lots of fans to the Leahy Bowl, and America's pastime is still as strong as ever in Winter.
I think for this community, there's still a lot of farmers and ranchers. But, you know, and their kids can all play baseball. And so that's, you know, when I was a kid, that was the only thing you could do was play baseball. There wasn't other sports or nothing, you know, So I think there's still that culture here.
Even if you weren't the greatest player, you did it just so you'd get out of the hayfield and you'd go to town and get to play with your buddies. You know, a lot of those guys are, you know, had families. Those guys are about my age and everything. I mean, it's kind of really rooted, and especially like in all these small towns, you know, baseball is big. Everybody had an amateur team. Everybody had a Legion team. You know, you kind of did what you could to get together and play, and when you grew up in the summertime, you played baseball.
Most young ball players dream of playing in the major leagues. Some fulfill those dreams in college or beyond in their baseball career. But the feeling players get on a warm summer night at Leahy is truly tough to outdo. No matter the success of their baseball career, playing at the Leahy Bowl is a cherished memory.
The field's a little bit better than some of the field. I grew up playing in Cologne's field, which I didn't know anything better. You know, skiing infield, practice football in the outfield. You know, typical small town baseball field, but getting to come up here was kind of like the cathedral of, you know, getting to play baseball. You know, you got that grassy infield, you got pretty excited that, hey, I get to go play at Leahy. And when you're, you know, 13 years old and you come off of playing 70-foot bases, you know, to come up to Leahy Bowl, you're kind of like, oh boy, this is the big field. This is, you know, now we're really playing. You kind of really felt like you were moving up to the big leagues when you got to come play at Leahy Bowl for the first time.
As small communities struggle to field teams in all divisions of baseball, Winter is welcoming all players to be part of the Winter baseball tradition.
One reason I think baseball is so strong in Winter is because we're not just Winter, we're a community. Clearfield's got incredibly proud baseball traditions, so does Cologne. But it's gotten to the point where the population, we embrace each other and we all play together. So when we're not pushing them away, they're not pushing us away, we're coming together so we still can compete and we can still play the game.
There's more to discover about Winter's baseball story. You can satisfy that curiosity and check it out at sdpb.org/Dakota Life. Winter's giant pheasant may not be as big as Huron's, but anyone can tell you this area is a contender for the title of Pheasant Capital of the World. Of course, pheasant hunting is a social and a family tradition. But what is it about this area that has some calling it a hunting paradise for sportsmen? Well, it's a combination of habitat and expertise to host, guide, and help you complete your hunt. It's the open prairie, the wooded areas, rivers, stock dams, and lakes that provide the habitat. And then there are the friendly people who have the know-how to help you make the most of it.
There's a lot of really good habitat around here. That's because the local community puts so much work into that habitat. I mean, they're out there all year making sure that come pheasant season, deer season, turkey season, that they're out there enjoying it.
Dylan Bates is the Game Fish and Parks Conservation Officer for the Winter area, serving Tripp, Todd, Millette, and Gregory counties. So that includes Lake Francis Case on the Missouri.
It's a really good fishery. This time of year, Chamberlain all the way down to Pickstown, fishing's really good, and we get people from all over coming in. Then rec boaters during the summer. It's a beautiful location, a beautiful lake, beautiful state parks. So having that in this area is something that's pretty special too.
But there's nothing like the third weekend in October.
Everybody's just excited for pheasant season. It brings in a lot of people, brings in a lot of money. And every year it creates those memories that people can look back on and remember their trip to Winter, and the locals. Winter is pheasant country.
It attracted Ryan Pyle to Winter from Northern California. A chef by trade, he also guides at Wiley Cock Lodge, one of several lodges in the area that provides an upscale hunt.
There is a lot more to the pheasant hunting experience and being here at a big lodge in South Dakota. The lodge itself, we have everything you need here, from the bar, chow hall, full locker room, pro shop, plenty of space, full kennels, so bring the dog as well. But yeah, it's about camaraderie. A lot of our guys, we got a couple going on 11, 12 years that have been here since the first year of the lodges, and they're here opening weekend every year. It's the same group of guys.
The goal at the lodge is to make sure all groups look forward to being back every year.
I would say our attention to detail and just the way we focus on everything here, from the time they show up and the way we plant and groom the fields, and the way we manage that for the pheasants and give them. We manage our fields more or less for the pheasants. They're a little harder walking at times, but it makes for better populations. And then as far as the lodge and everything here, when you're here, this is your home, and if you can see it, drink it, eat it, go ahead.
I don't get to hunt because I'm busy the hunting times a year, but I make up for it. I fish a lot of fishing.
The reason Rich Kuchera, always known as Cooch, is too busy to hunt is he's running a business, cleaning and processing thousands of pheasants.
A friend of mine suggested it when the bank was going to close down his business. He wanted to send me some of the clientele. He says, if you want to clean them in your garage, and my wife and I wanted nothing to do with it close to our house. So I rented a spot here, and we were going to do it for 5 years to help our kids through college. Extra money always comes in handy. And man, that was 28 years ago now. So we went a little over the 5-year period.
Not only are his clients from all around the country, but his byproducts also sell nationwide. Hats, cookbooks, and leftover feathers and pelts become fishing flies and hat bands. What Cooch collects are the relationships, regardless of who you are in real life.
They don't get treated like celebrities in my shop. I took, and Tom Knapp was in one day, and some people that work for me wanted to get his signature. And I told him, he's just here as a hunter. He's not a celebrity. I said, the only celebrity in this shop at this moment is me. I said, he's just a pheasant hunter at this time. Tom got a big charge out of that.
I've really enjoyed small town. Originally being from Northern California, it was a large change. I enjoyed the decreased number of people, but also spending more time with my clientele.
A lot of people I talk to say I've been coming here every year for 30 years, and there's a reason for that. They've built a relationship with the people whose land they hunt on. The pheasant numbers are great, and just the atmosphere of being in winter for pheasant openers pretty cool.
E.G. Barnum had a hunch about winter. Maybe he had some inside information, maybe he had some friends at the Chicago Northwestern Railroad. Either way, he had confidence in the town he picked as the winner in the battle for the Tripp County seat. This is a part of South Dakota where a population of 3,000 ranks near metropolis status, and winter makes the most of what it has. You see, you'll be traveling in many miles in just about any direction to find a larger town. And from tradition to new technology, the people here in Tripp County don't need to make that trip near as often. They've made a home. They give to their community, on the court and on the field, on the stage, at the concession stand, at the art park, or by inviting hunters from across the state and around the nation to come and share habitat at a hunting lodge. Talent doesn't go to waste here in winter. It's a place where everybody, even the people from Lamro, can put their unique gifts to use and help others do the same. You see, as it turns out, Barnum's hunch was a pretty safe bet. You can revisit our stories about winter and all the other communities at sdpb.org/Dakota Life. Thanks for coming along with us to winter. I'm Larry Rohr. For all of us here at SDPB, thanks for watching.